The security checkpoint at the Galactic Council station buzzed with activity. Delegates from hundreds of worlds passed through the scanners, each one carrying their required weapons. It was the law. Every species had to be armed inside the council halls. Every species except one. Hyon watched from his position near the main entrance. His scaled skin reflected the blue lights of the station as his eyes followed a human walking toward the checkpoint. The human wore simple, dark clothing and carried only a datapad. No weapon belt. No plasma rifle. No shock staff. Nothing. Hyon's tail twitched with irritation. This was the third human he had seen today walking through security without weapons. The guard simply nodded and waved them through. No questions asked. "This is wrong," Hyon muttered to himself. His clawed hand rested on his own weapon, an energy blade that all Scarith were required to carry. It was heavy and uncomfortable, but it was the law. The human at the checkpoint was named Jin Ho. He was Earth's main ambassador to the Council. Hyon had seen him before at various meetings. The human always seemed calm, almost too calm. He moved with an easy confidence that bothered Hyon for reasons he could not name. Junho placed his datapad on the scanner. The machine beeped green. The guard, a large insect-like Vrel, simply nodded. "Have a good day, Ambassador," the guard said. "Thank you," Junho replied with a smile. Hyon could not take it any more. He stepped forward, his boots clicking on the metal floor. "Wait," he called out. Junho turned. His face showed no surprise, only mild curiosity. "Yes, Delegate Hyon? Can I help you?" "Your weapons," Hyon said, pointing at Junho's empty belt. "Where are they?" "I don't carry any," Junho said simply. "That is illegal," Hyon's voice rose. Other delegates stopped to watch. "Every species must be armed in council halls. It is the oldest law we have." Junho's smile did not change. "Not for humans. We are exempt." "Exempt?" Hyon's scales darkened with anger. "On what grounds? What makes humans so special?" The Vrel guard stepped forward. His multiple eyes focused on Hyon. "Delegate Hyon, please do not cause trouble. The law is clear. Humans do not carry weapons in council halls." "I want to speak to the council speaker," Hyon demanded. "This favoritism must end." The guard's antennae twitched. He seemed nervous. "If you wish. But the law will not change." "We will see about that," Hyon said. 2 hours later, Hyon stood in the council speaker's office. The room was large and circular, with windows showing the stars beyond. Behind a curved desk sat Minho, the council speaker. He was ancient, even for a Vrel. His shell was covered in markings that showed his age and wisdom. "You wish to see me, Delegate Hyon?" Minho's voice was like wind through dry leaves. "Yes, Speaker. I want to know why humans are allowed to break our laws." "They break no laws," Minho said calmly. "They enter council halls unarmed. Every other species must carry weapons. Why are humans different?" Minho was quiet for a long moment. His many eyes studied Hyon carefully. "It is not favoritism, Delegate. It is not a privilege. Then what is it?" "It is necessity." Hyon's tail lashed in frustration. "That makes no sense. You speak in riddles, Speaker." "I demand a real answer." "A law was made 47 years ago," Minho said. "There was an incident. After that incident, the council voted. The vote was unanimous. Humans would no longer carry weapons in council halls." "What incident?" Hyon asked. "The records are sealed." "Unsealed them." "No," Minho said firmly. "Not yet. Perhaps one day you will understand. Perhaps one day all species will understand. But for now, the law stands." "This is not right," Hyon said. The other delegates talk about it. They wonder why humans get special treatment. It causes resentment. "Let them resent," Minho said. "It is better than the alternative." "What alternative?" Minho stood slowly. His old joints creaked. He walked to the window and looked out at the stars. "Tell me, Delegate Hyon, why do we require all species to be armed?" "For protection," Hyon answered. "So we can defend ourselves if needed." "Defend yourselves from what?" From each other. From attacks. From threats. Exactly, Minho turned back. We arm ourselves to protect from each other. But the humans, they are different. Different how? If you truly want to know, I suggest you research human history. Study their world. Study how they evolve. Then perhaps you will understand why we made this law. Hyen left the office more confused than before. He returned to his quarters and immediately began searching the council database. He looked up Earth and its history. What he found made no sense. Earth was a medium-sized planet with normal gravity. Its star was ordinary. The planet had water and land and air like many worlds. Humans were bipedal like many species. They had 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. Nothing seemed special about them, but then Hyen found something strange. Earth was classified as a high-danger world in the database. The classification was marked in red. Hyen had never seen that before. He dug deeper. Earth had dozens of large predators. The oceans had creatures that could swallow a human whole. The land had animals with claws and teeth and venom. Even the plants could be deadly. Diseases, parasites, natural disasters, humans had evolved in a place where everything tried to kill them. Hyen sat back in his chair. So what? Many species came from dangerous worlds. That did not explain the weapon law. The next day, Hyen attended a council session. He sat in his assigned seat and watched the proceedings. Jinho was there, sitting calmly in the human section. He still carried no weapons. During a break, 2 delegates began arguing. They were from species that had old conflicts. The argument grew heated. One delegate, a large mammal covered in fur, pushed the other. Before guards could arrive, Junho was there. He simply stepped between them. He said nothing at first, just stood there. Both delegates stopped immediately. They looked at Junho with something Hyen finally recognized. Fear. Gentlemen, Junho said softly. Perhaps we should all calm down. Both delegates nodded and backed away. They returned to their seats without another word. Junho walked back to his own seat as if nothing had happened. Hyen's mind raced. Why had they feared the unarmed human? Why had they backed down so quickly? That evening, Hyen saw Junho in the station's common area. The human was drinking something hot from a cup. Hyen approached him. Ambassador Junho, Hyen said. Delegate Hyen. Junho nodded. Please sit. Hyen sat. I spoke to Council Speaker Minho yesterday about your weapon exemption. I heard, Junho said. He told me you were unhappy. I want to understand. Why are humans treated differently? Junho took a sip of his drink. We are not treated differently, Delegate. We are treated appropriately. That is what the speaker said. But no one will explain what that means. Junho smiled. It was not an unkind smile, but there was something behind it. Something that made Hyen's scales prickle. If you truly want to understand, Junho said, then you need to see the sealed records. You need to know what happened 47 years ago. The records are sealed. Then unseal them, Junho said. Gather enough support from other delegates. Force the council to show you. But I warn you, Delegate Hyen, once you see the truth, you cannot unsee it. And you may wish you had never asked. Junho stood and walked away, leaving Hyen alone with more questions than answers. Hyen spent the next 2 weeks gathering support. He spoke to other delegates in quiet corners and private rooms. Many agreed with him. They too wondered about the human exemption. They too felt the law was unfair. Some delegates refused to help. When Hyen mentioned unsealing the old records, these delegates would suddenly remember other appointments. They would leave quickly, their faces showing emotions Hyen could not read, but enough delegates agreed. After 2 weeks, Hyen had 40 signatures. That was enough to force a records review under council law. Hyen brought his petition to the archives. The building was old, built when the council first formed centuries ago. Inside, the air was cool and smelled like old data crystals and preservation chemicals. Behind the main desk sat Taeyun. He was a Quellan, an amphibious species with smooth blue skin and large black eyes. Tae-yun had worked in the archives for 30 years. I need to access sealed records, Hyun said, placing his datapad on the desk. I have the required signatures. Tae-yun looked at the petition. His face showed no emotion. Which records? The incident from 47 years ago. The one involving humans and the weapon law. Tae-yun's skin turned a darker blue. I see, you know about it? Everyone who works here knows about it, Tae-yun said quietly. We just do not talk about it. Why not? Because some things are better left sealed. Tae-yun looked at the signatures again. But you have the proper authorization. I must allow access. Good. However, Tae-yun continued, much of the file is restricted. You can see the basic reports. But the video footage and detailed analysis require Council Chief authorization. How do I get that? You must present your case to the full Council. If they vote to allow it, then you can see everything. Hyun's tail twitched. Fine, show me what you can. Tae-yun led Hyun to a private viewing room. The walls were covered in screens. Tae-yun activated a terminal and pulled up the old files. This is what we have available, Tae-yun said. The first document appeared on the screen. It was dated 47 years ago. The title read, Incident Report, Trade Negotiation Chamber 7, Code Crimson. Hyun began reading. The report was written in formal council language, but the facts were clear. 47 years ago, there had been important trade negotiations. The Chromath Empire was discussing mineral rights with several species, including humans. The Chromath were large reptilian warriors, known for their strength and aggressive tactics. 3 Chromath delegates had become angry during negotiations. They felt the humans were not offering enough. The argument escalated. The Chromath stood and surrounded the human ambassador. The human ambassador's name was Sunho, according to the report. He was unarmed. This was normal for human culture at the time. Humans did not traditionally carry weapons to diplomatic meetings on their own world. The 3 Chromath were armed. They all carried shock staffs, which was legal and expected. The report stated, at 1447 station time, Chromath Delegate Vorn struck Ambassador Sunho with his shock staff. Ambassador Sunho responded in self-defense. The incident lasted 4.7 seconds. That was all the report said about the actual fight. The next line made Hyun's blood cold. Result. Chromath Delegate Vorn, deceased. Chromath Delegate Thule, permanent spinal injury. Chromath Delegate Rosk, shattered arm and facial reconstruction required. 1 dead. 2 permanently injured. In less than 5 seconds, Hyun read the line again. It made no sense. 3 armed Chromath warriors against 1 unarmed human. The human should have been the one injured or dead. What happened? Hyun looked at Tae-yun. This report tells me nothing. How did this occur? The details are in the sealed section, Tae-yun said. The video footage shows exactly what happened. But I cannot show you without authorization. Then I will get authorization. Hyun left the archives and immediately requested an emergency council session. He presented his petition and the basic report he had seen. He demanded the full records be unsealed, the council chambers filled with delegates. Many had heard about Hyun's petition. They wanted to know the truth. Council Speaker Minho sat in his high seat. His old eyes looked at Hyun with what might have been sadness. You truly wish to see this? Minho asked. Yes, Hyun said firmly. The council deserves truth, not secrets. Minho looked around the chamber. Very well. We will vote. All who support unsealing the records indicate now. Lights appeared around the chamber as delegates voted. When the count finished, the result was clear. 2/3 had voted yes. The motion passes, Minho said. The records will be unsealed. We will view them here, together, in 3 days. I want all delegates present. What you will see is important. During those 3 days, rumors spread through the station. Delegates whispered in corridors. Some said the humans had used secret weapons. Others claimed the Chromath had been poisoned. Wild theories filled the air. Hyun noticed the human delegates remained quiet. They did not engage with the rumors. They simply went about their duties, calm as always. On the third day, the council chamber was packed. Every seat was filled. Additional delegates stood along the walls. Everyone wanted to see the sealed records. Junho sat in the human section. He looked at Hyung across the chamber. His face showed no anger, only a quiet resignation. Minho stood. What you are about to see is why our laws exist. Some of you will be disturbed. Some may wish to leave. You may do so at any time, but I ask you to watch completely. Understanding requires context. The lights dimmed. A large holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. The video began. Hyun watched as the scene unfolded. The recording showed a negotiation room. Several delegates sat around a table. He recognized the human, Sunho. The ambassador was middle-aged with graying hair. He looked ordinary. Small compared to the massive Chromath, the Chromath delegates were huge. Each one stood over 2 meters tall, with thick scales and powerful muscles. They carried their shock staffs openly. The audio played. The Chromath were angry. They shouted about the trade terms. Sunho remained seated, speaking calmly. Then Vorn, the largest Chromath, stood up. He walked around the table. The other 2 Chromath followed. They surrounded Sunho. Sunho stood slowly. He held his hands up, palms out. Gentlemen, please. Let us discuss this calmly. We are done discussing, Vorn growled. He raised his shock staff. What happened next took exactly 4.7 seconds. Just as the report stated. Vorn swung his staff at Sunho's head. The human moved. It was not a large movement, just a slight tilt. The staff missed. Before Vorn could recover, Sunho's hand shot out. He grabbed Vorn's wrist. The sound of breaking bone was loud in the recording. Vorn screamed. Sunho pulled him forward and down. Vorn's head hit the table with a terrible crack. He collapsed and did not move again. The second Chromath, Thule, charged from behind. Sunho seemed to know he was coming without looking. The human spun. His elbow caught Thule in the throat. Thule gasped and fell. His body hit the floor badly. Hyun heard something snap in Thule's back. The third Chromath, Rosk, hesitated. That hesitation saved his life but not his body. Sunho was already moving. He grabbed Rosk's shock staff with one hand and pulled. Rosk did not let go fast enough. Sunho twisted. Rosk's arm bent in a direction arms should not bend. Rosk fell, clutching his destroyed arm. His face was broken where Sunho's other hand had struck him. The entire fight took less than 5 seconds. Sunho stood among the 3 fallen Chromath. He was breathing hard but showed no other signs of effort. Then his face changed. Horror replaced the calm expression. He looked at his hands as if they belonged to someone else. What did I do? Sunho whispered. What did I do? The video ended. The council chamber was silent. Hyun felt cold. Around him, other delegates sat frozen in shock. That was Ambassador Sunho, Minho's voice broke the silence. A career diplomat. A man dedicated to peace. He had never been in a fight before that day. No military training. No combat experience, Minho paused. And yet, as you saw, he destroyed 3 professional Chromath warriors in under 5 seconds. While unarmed? How? Someone asked. Because he is human, Minho said. And we learned that day what humans truly are. The council chamber remained silent after the video ended. Hyun stared at the empty holographic space where the images had been. His mind struggled to process what he had seen. Around him, other delegates whispered nervously. Some looked at the human section with new eyes. The humans sat quietly, their faces showing no emotion. There is more, Minho said. Medical reports, analysis, detailed studies that were conducted after the incident. Another document appeared on the holographic display. It was a medical scan of Sunho taken immediately after the fight. Ambassador Sunho was examined by our best doctors, Minho continued. They wanted to understand what happened. These are their findings. Hyun read the report. The words made his scales grow cold. Subject shows elevated heart rate and adrenaline levels consistent with physical exertion. However, muscle tissue analysis indicates subject used only 60% of available strength capacity during the incident. Bone density tests reveal skeletal structure capable of withstanding forces 3 times greater than observed. Conclusion: subject was physically restrained during the encounter. 60%, a delegate said from across the chamber. He only used 60% of his strength? Yes, Minho confirmed. If Ambassador Sunho had used his full strength, the damage would have been far worse. But how is this possible? Hyan found his voice. Humans are not large. They are not heavily muscled like Chrometh or armored like Vrel. They look weak. Appearances deceive, Minho said. The medical teams investigated further. They tested other humans on the station. All showed similar capabilities. The humans allowed themselves to be studied. They wanted us to understand. More documents appeared, charts, graphs, biological data that Hyan barely understood. Human muscles are extremely efficient, Minho explained. Their bone density is high for their body size. Their tendons and ligaments are incredibly strong. But more importantly, they have something called an adrenaline response. Many species have stress responses, another delegate said. Not like humans, Minho replied. When threatened, human bodies flood with chemicals. These chemicals make them faster, stronger, and more resistant to pain. They can perform feats that would be impossible in their normal state. And unlike most species, humans remain conscious and capable of complex action during this response. Hyan thought about Sunho in the video. The speed, the precision. The human had moved like a predator, not a diplomat. There is something else, Minho said. Something that disturbed the researchers more than the physical capabilities. A new video appeared. It showed a medical room. Sunho sat on an examination table. Doctors surrounded him with scanning equipment. We asked Ambassador Sunho to describe what he experienced during the fight, Minho said in the video. Sunho spoke. I did not think. I just acted. One moment they were attacking. The next moment they were down. My body moved on its own. It knew what to do. Where did your body learn these movements? A doctor in the video asked. I do not know, Sunho said. I never trained for combat, but somehow I knew exactly where to strike, exactly how much force to use. It was instinct, the video paused. Instinct, Minho repeated. The researchers concluded that humans have combat instincts hardwired into their biology. When threatened, these instincts activate. The conscious mind takes a secondary role. The body acts on ancient programming. Hyan felt sick. An entire species with instinctive combat knowledge. Bodies built for fighting. Chemical systems that made them stronger when threatened. We are predators, a voice said. Everyone turned. Junho stood in the human section. He had been silent until now. Ambassador Junho, Minho acknowledged him. You are all wondering what humans are, Junho said. I will tell you. We are persistence predators. On Earth, we hunted by chasing prey until they collapsed from exhaustion. We evolved to run for days without stopping, to track wounded animals across vast distances, to kill with tools and bare hands when necessary. Jinho walked to the center of the chamber. No one stopped him. Every part of our biology reflects this, he continued. Our sweat cooling system lets us run in heat that would kill other species. Our shoulder joints can throw objects with deadly accuracy. Our hands can grip with enough force to crush bone. Our teeth, though small, can tear meat. We are built for hunting. Built for killing. Then why do you act so peaceful? Han asked. Why do you smile and negotiate and pretend to be civilized? We are not pretending, Junho said firmly. We are civilized. But civilization is a choice we make, not something we are. Underneath the diplomacy and kindness, we are still predators. That nature does not go away. We simply control it. Control, Minho said. That is the key word. After the incident, we studied human history. We learned about your wars, Your violence. The terrible things your species did to each other. Yes, Jinho agreed. Humans fought constantly on Earth, wars that killed millions. Weapons that could destroy cities. We nearly made ourselves extinct several times. But you survived, Minho said. And more than that, you learned. You built a peaceful society. You reached for the stars. When we met humanity, you were already controlling your nature. Jinho nodded. It took thousands of years. Countless mistakes. Unimaginable suffering. But yes, we learned. We learned that being strong does not mean we must fight. We learned that having the power to kill does not mean we should use it. The council debated for months after the incident, Minho said. What should we do about humanity? Some wanted humans banned from the council. Others wanted humans forced to take suppressant drugs to reduce their physical abilities. But you did neither, Haiyan said. No, Minho agreed. Because we watched Ambassador Sunho in the days after the incident. We saw his horror at what he had done. We saw him try to resign, claiming he was too dangerous to continue as a diplomat. We saw him break down crying over Delegate Vorn's death. The holographic display showed another video. Sunho sat alone in a room, his face in his hands. His shoulders shook with sobs. He felt genuine remorse, Minho said. Genuine grief for beings who had attacked him. That is when we understood. Humans might be dangerous, but they are also capable of great compassion. They choose not to harm others even when they easily could. So you made the law, Haiyan said. Humans cannot carry weapons in council halls. Yes, Minho confirmed. But not for the reason you think. Before Minho could explain further, alarms blared through the station. Red lights flashed. The emergency communication system activated. Incident in Docking Bay 7, a voice announced. Security required immediately. The council session broke apart as delegates rushed to see what was happening. Haiyan followed the crowd. Something in his gut told him this was important. They reached the docking bay to find chaos. A cargo container had broken free from its moorings. The massive metal box swung on damaged cables. Threatening to crush workers below. Station security was trying to evacuate the area. But 3 workers were trapped, pinned behind damaged equipment with the container swinging toward them. We need to stabilize it, a security officer shouted. Get the magnetic clamps. No time. Another officer responded. That cable is about to snap. The workers screamed. The container swung closer, then someone ran into the danger zone. A human. Haiyan recognized her. Jinji, a young human who worked as Jinho's assistant. She was small, barely reaching the shoulders of most delegates. She looked delicate. Yunji reached the container's path. She planted her feet and raised her arms. What is she doing? Someone asked. She will be crushed. The container swung toward her. Thousands of kilograms of metal and cargo. Moving with unstoppable momentum. Eunji caught it. Her arms bent slightly as the container hit. But she did not fall. She did not get crushed. She stopped the container. For a moment, nothing moved. Everyone stared in shock. Yunji's face showed strain. Her muscles tensed. But she held the container steady, her feet planted firmly on the deck. Get them out! She shouted through clenched teeth. Security officers rushed forward. They pulled the trapped workers to safety. Only when all 3 were clear did Yunji step back. The container swung away from her, now harmless without anyone in its path. Security teams quickly secured it with magnetic clamps. Yunji bent over, hands on her knees, breathing hard. But she was smiling. Everyone okay? She asked the rescued workers. They nodded, too shocked to speak. Hen approached slowly. Other delegates gathered around, all staring at the small human who had just stopped thousands of kilograms like it was nothing. How? Haiyan asked. Yunji straightened. She wiped sweat from her forehead. Oh, that? It was not that heavy. Maybe half a ton? Earth gravity is stronger than station gravity. We are used to it. Half a ton, Haiyan repeated numbly. You caught half a ton of swinging metal? Well, I did not want those people to get hurt, Yunji said simply. Junho arrived, slightly out of breath from running. He looked at Unji. "Are you all right?" "I am fine," she said. "Might have pulled something in my shoulder, but nothing serious." "Good," Junho said. Then he looked at the crowd of delegates. Their faces showed fear, wonder, horror. "This is what Minho was about to explain," Junho said quietly. "This is why we do not carry weapons." The medical bay of the council station was full. After what happened in the docking bay, dozens of delegates demanded answers. They wanted to understand what humans truly were. Dr. Inwu stood at the front of the medical conference room. He was human, the station's chief medical officer. Next to him stood Juri, a xenobiologist from the feline Myaric species. They had prepared a presentation. Hyon sat in the front row. He had not slept well since seeing Ungi catch that container. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the small human stopping thousands of kilograms of metal like it was nothing. "Thank you all for coming," Dr. Inwu began. "I know recent events have raised concerns about human biology. Juri and I will explain what makes humans different." Juri activated a holographic display. An image of a human body appeared, rotating slowly. "Let us start with bone structure," Juri said. Human bones are significantly denser than most species in the Council. This is because Earth has higher gravity than 73% of inhabited worlds. Numbers appeared next to the image. Hyen read them with growing unease. A human femur can withstand compression forces up to 1,700 pounds per square inch before breaking. Juri continued. For comparison, the average council species bones break at around 800 pounds per square inch. "Their bones are twice as strong as ours?" a delegate asked. "Roughly, yes," Juri confirmed. "But that is just the beginning. Human muscles are equally impressive." The display changed to show muscle tissue at a microscopic level. Human muscle fibers are densely packed with mitochondria. These cellular structures produce energy extremely efficiently. Humans can sustain physical activity far longer than most species. Dr. Inwu spoke up. "On Earth, humans evolved as persistence hunters. They would chase prey for hours, sometimes days, until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. The human body is built for endurance." "But we saw strength, not endurance," Hyon said. "Unji stopped a half-ton container." "Yes," Dr. Inwu nodded. "Let me show you something." He walked to an examination table where a human volunteer was waiting. Hyon recognized him as Minjin, one of the human security officers. "Minjin has agreed to demonstrate human capabilities under controlled conditions," Dr. Inwu explained. "First, we will take baseline measurements." Doctors attached sensors to Minjin's body. Scanners recorded his vital signs. Everything appeared normal. "Now, Minjin will lift a weight," Dr. Inwu said. "This weight is 150 kilograms, about 3 times his body mass." A heavy bar was brought forward. Minjin approached it calmly. He bent down, gripped the bar, and lifted. The weight came up smoothly. He held it over his head for a moment, then set it down. The readings showed increased heart rate and muscle activity, but nothing shocking. "That was Minjin in his normal state," Dr. Inwu said. "Now we will trigger a stress response." "How?" Juri asked. "Minjin will imagine a threat scenario. His mind will activate his body's fight-or-flight response." Minjin closed his eyes. His breathing changed. The sensors started showing dramatic changes. "Watch the readings," Dr. Inwu pointed to the displays. Heart rate increasing. Blood pressure rising. Adrenaline levels spiking. "This is the human stress response." Hyon watched the numbers climb. They reached levels that would kill most species. "Now lift the weight again," Dr. Inwu instructed. Minjin opened his eyes. They looked different somehow. More focused. More intense. He approached the weight and lifted it. This time it came up faster. He held it with one hand instead of 2. Then he lifted it above his head and held it steady. "Same weight," Dr. Inwu said. "But now it looks easy for him." The adrenaline response gives humans temporary access to strength they normally cannot use. Minjin set the weight down. He took several deep breaths. After a minute, the sensor readings began to drop back to normal. This response happens automatically when humans are threatened, Jury explained. It is not voluntary. Their bodies detect danger and react. We saw this with Ambassador Sunho, Hyan said. He said his body moved on its own. Exactly, Dr. Inwoo confirmed. The conscious mind becomes secondary. Ancient instincts take over. The body acts before the brain fully processes what is happening. That sounds terrifying, a delegate said. It is, Dr. Inwoo agreed quietly. For us as much as for you. He gestured to another display. It showed brain scans of humans during stress responses. The human amygdala, the part of the brain that processes fear and threat, is extremely active during these responses. But here is what disturbs me as a doctor. The human brain also releases dopamine and other pleasure chemicals during combat or high-stress situations. Silence filled the room. You are saying humans enjoy fighting? Hyan asked carefully. In a biological sense, yes, Dr. Inwoo said. Not consciously. Not morally. But the body rewards combat with pleasure chemicals. This helped ancient humans survive. Those who fought effectively were rewarded, encouraging the behavior. This is common among predator species, Jury added. But humans are unusual in how strong this response is. Combined with their physical capabilities and instinctive combat knowledge, it makes them extraordinarily dangerous. Dr. Inwoo looked uncomfortable. I want to be clear. Humans do not want to hurt others. We find violence morally wrong. We feel guilt and remorse when we cause harm, but our biology does not always align with our values. He paused, choosing his words carefully. Imagine having a part of yourself that wants something you morally oppose. A part that rewards you for actions you find abhorrent. That is the human condition. We live in constant negotiation with our own nature. The room was very quiet. Hyan looked at the human delegates present. They all looked sad, resigned. How do you cope? Hyan asked. Training, Junna said, standing up from his seat. We learn self-control from childhood. We are taught to recognize our stress responses and manage them. We practice remaining calm in threatening situations. But you cannot always control it, Hyan said. Sunho could not. No, Junho agreed. When surprised or threatened suddenly, our instincts take over. That is why the weapon law exists. I do not understand, a delegate said. If humans are so dangerous, why not arm them like everyone else? Because of reaction time, Dr. Inwoo explained. Let me show you. He activated another holographic display. It showed a simulation. This is what happens when most species face a sudden threat while armed. The brain processes the threat, decides on a response, sends signals to the muscles. The entire process takes about 0.8 to 1.2 seconds. The simulation showed a delegate seeing a threat, thinking, then drawing a weapon. Now watch what happens with a human in stress response. The simulation changed. A human faced a threat. Before the threat fully registered, the human had already moved. Weapon drawn, aimed, ready to fire. Reaction time 0.2 seconds, Dr. Inwoo said. The instinctive response bypasses conscious thought. Humans can react before they fully understand what is happening. Hyan felt cold understanding dawn. If humans carried weapons ... we would draw them too quickly, Junho finished. Before we fully assess the situation, before we determined if force was really necessary, our instincts would take over and people would die. But other species carry weapons, a delegate argued. Why do they not have this problem? Because you are not built like us, Dr. Inwoo said. Your stress responses are slower. Your conscious mind remains in control longer. You have time to think before you act. Jury pulled up more data. We analyzed violent incidents on the station over the past 47 years. Incidents involving armed humans dropped 97% after the weapon law was implemented. 97%, Hyan repeated. Before the law, humans were involved in 32 violent incidents in the first year of council membership, Jury continued. 28 of those incidents involved humans drawing weapons in response to perceived threats that turned out to be misunderstandings or minor conflicts. We were dangerous to ourselves and others, Junho said. Not because we wanted to be, but because our biology made us react too fast, too violently. Dr. Inwoo stepped forward. The weapon law was not a punishment. It was a safeguard. For everyone. He looked around the room at all the delegates. Every species here carries weapons to protect themselves from external threats. But humans needed protection from our own instincts. By removing weapons from humans, we removed the temptation. We forced ourselves to rely on words and diplomacy instead of violence. What happens if a human is attacked now? Hyan asked. Without weapons? We defend ourselves, Junho said simply. You saw what Sunho did. You saw what Yunji can do. Humans do not need weapons to be dangerous. We are weapons. He walked to the center of the room. That is the truth you wanted, Delegate Hyan. That is why we are unarmed in council halls, not as a privilege, not as favoritism, but because an armed human is too dangerous. To you, to ourselves, to everyone. 3 days after the medical presentation, the full council assembled for an emergency session. The chamber was packed beyond capacity. Delegates filled every seat. More stood along the walls. Everyone wanted to hear what would happen next. Hyan sat in his usual place, but he felt different. The anger and resentment that had driven him to challenge the weapon law was gone. In its place was something else, understanding and a little fear. The council is called to order, Minho announced. We are here to discuss the weapon exemption for humans. Several delegates have proposed changes to the law. A delegate from the Carthan species stood. His blue skin shimmered under the chamber lights. Speaker Minho, I propose that humans be removed from the council. They are too dangerous. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Another delegate stood. I propose mandatory suppressant drugs. Humans could take medication to reduce their physical capabilities. Or genetic modification, a third delegate suggested. Remove the aggressive traits from their biology. More voices joined in. The chamber filled with proposals, each one suggesting ways to control or limit humanity. Through it all, the human delegates sat quietly. They did not argue. They did not defend themselves. They simply listened. Finally, Junho stood. The chamber fell silent. May I speak? He asked. You may, Minho said. Jaehyun walked to the center of the chamber. He stood in the same spot where the holographic displays had shown so many disturbing truths about his species. You are afraid, Junho began. I understand. Everything you learned about humans is frightening. We are strong. We are fast. We have instincts that make us dangerous. All of this is true. He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of delegates from dozens of species. But you are missing something important. You are focusing on what we can do. You are not seeing what we choose to do. Choice means nothing when instinct takes over, the Carthan delegate said. You are wrong, Junho replied firmly. Choice is everything. Let me explain. He gestured to the holographic display. Images appeared. Human history, cities, wars, destruction. My species fought for thousands of years. We developed weapons that could destroy entire planets. We came very close to ending ourselves multiple times. We know violence. We know war. We know what monsters we can be. The images changed. Peaceful cities. Humans working together. Children playing. But we also learned peace. We learned to control our nature. Do you know how hard that was? Do you understand what it cost us? Junho's voice grew passionate. Every single day, every human must fight against millions of years of evolution. When someone insults us, our instinct says to fight. When someone threatens us, our instinct says to kill. When we are afraid, our instinct says to strike first. But we do not. He paused, letting his words sink in. We do not fight when insulted. We do not kill when threatened. We do not strike first when afraid. We choose differently. We choose peace even though every part of our biology screams at us to choose violence. That is admirable, a delegate said. But it does not make you safe? Safe? Jinho laughed bitterly. You want safe? Then look at the records. In the 47 years since the weapon law, how many violent incidents have involved humans? Minho checked his datapad. 17. 17 incidents in 47 years, Jinho repeated. Do you know how many incidents involved other species in that same time? 4,233, Minho said. The chamber erupted in surprised voices. 4,000 incidents from armed species who are supposedly safer than us, Junho said. We had 17. And of those 17, how many resulted in death? None, Minho answered. 0 fatalities in all human-involved incidents since the law was enacted. 0, Jinho repeated. Because we are unarmed. Because we must rely on restraint instead of weapons. Because we have no choice but to control ourselves. He turned in a slow circle, looking at all the delegates. Every species here carries weapons to protect yourselves from each other. You are afraid of external threats. But we humans learned long ago that the greatest threat is not outside. It is inside. It is our own nature. Beautiful words, the Carthan delegate said. But what about Ambassador Sunho? What about the Chromoth he killed? Pain crossed Jinho's face. Sunho never recovered from that day. He resigned 2 months later. He could not forgive himself for what he did, even though he was defending himself. He spent the rest of his life working for peace, trying to make up for those few seconds of violence. Junhonho pulled out a data crystal. This is Sunho's final message. He recorded it before he died 5 years ago. He wanted it played if this issue ever came up again. Minho nodded. The holographic display activated. Ambassador Sunho appeared. He was much older, his hair white, his face lined with age, but his eyes were still sharp. If you are watching this, then the Council is debating the weapon law again, Sunho's recording began. I want you to understand something. The worst moment of my life was not being attacked. It was realizing what I had done to those who attacked me. Sunho's hands trembled in the recording. I killed Delegate Vorn, I injured Delegates Thule and Rosk. I did this in less than 5 seconds. I did not think. I did not choose. My body moved on its own. And when it was over, I looked at what I had done and I was horrified. Tears ran down the old ambassador's face. I am a monster. Not because I wanted to be, but because I was born human. My biology made me a weapon. My instincts made me a killer. And no matter how much I wish otherwise, I cannot change what I am. He wiped his eyes. That is why I supported the weapon law. That is why I begged the Council to forbid humans from carrying weapons. Because if I had held a gun that day, all 3 Chromoth would be dead. If I had carried a knife, the damage would have been worse. Weapons amplify our danger. Sunho leaned closer to the camera. But here is what you must understand. I spent the rest of my life as a diplomat. I negotiated hundreds of treaties. I resolved countless conflicts. I never hurt anyone again. Not because I lost the ability, but because I chose not to. Every single day I chose peace. That choice was harder than anything else I ever did, but I made it. Every day. For the rest of my life, the recording paused, then continued. Humans are dangerous. This is true, but we are also capable of great kindness, great compassion, great self-sacrifice. We can choose to be better than our instincts. We can choose to protect instead of harm. Judge us not by what we are capable of, but by what we choose to do. The recording ended. The chamber was silent. Many delegates looked moved by Sunho's words, then alarms blared. Emergency, a voice announced over the station intercom. Multiple armed intruders in the main corridor. All delegates seal your chambers. Panic erupted. Delegates rushed for the exits. But the chamber doors were already sealing. Automatic protocols locking down the council chamber. Through the chamber's windows, Hyun could see the main corridor. Armed figures in heavy armor were fighting with station security. Weapons fire lit up the corridor. Who are they? Someone shouted. Rogue mercenaries, Minho said, checking reports. They are demanding the release of prisoners from the detention level. More weapons fire. Station security was falling back. The mercenaries were advancing toward the council chamber. Delegates pulled their weapons. They aimed at the doors, ready to defend themselves. The human delegates did not move. They had no weapons to draw. They will break through soon, a security officer reported. We cannot hold them. Hyen looked at Jinho. The human stood calmly, watching the battle through the windows. You should run, Hyen said. You cannot fight without weapons. Jinho smiled sadly. Run? No, we are exactly where we need to be. What? The mercenaries broke through the security line. They rushed toward the council chamber doors. Heavy weapons fired. The door began to buckle. Everyone behind us, Jinho said quietly. The human delegates moved. They positioned themselves between the doors and the other delegates. They formed a living wall, unarmed and exposed. What are you doing? Hyen asked. Our job, Yoonji said. She stood next to Junho, calm despite the danger. The doors exploded inward. Mercenaries poured through, weapons raised. Nobody move. The lead mercenary shouted. Armed delegates raised their weapons. The mercenaries raised theirs. Everyone was seconds away from a firefight that would kill dozens. Wait, Jinho said. His voice was not loud, but something in it made everyone pause. Junho stepped forward, placing himself between the mercenaries and the delegates. Yoonji and the other humans followed. You do not want to do this, Junho said calmly. Get out of the way, the mercenary leader said. We will shoot through you. No, you will not, Junho replied. Why not? Because we are unarmed humans. And if you hurt us, you will face something worse than station security. The mercenary leader hesitated. Hyen saw uncertainty in the armored figure's posture. You know what we are? Junho continued. You know what humans can do. You saw the records. Everyone has seen them now. So let me make this very clear. Junho's voice changed. It became harder, colder. Right now, we are choosing to be peaceful. We are choosing to stand between you and them without fighting. But if you fire those weapons, if you hurt anyone here, that choice ends. Our instincts take over. And we stop choosing. The mercenaries shifted nervously. There are 12 of us, Junho said, gesturing to the human delegates. Unarmed, unarmored. Do you really think you can stop us before we reach you?